for the first edition of Tragedy Tuesdays, which is kind of like a mini episode that we're doing in off weeks between our major disasters. My name's Peter. I'm here with my co-host Leigh.
Hi.
And today Leigh's going to be telling us our first Tragic Tuesday story.
I'm going to take the lead on this one.
Yep.
So let's see how this goes.
Yep.
So today, and I should say, like, I'm like a musically inclined kind of person.
Yeah.
Like, music is very important to me. So a lot of my Tragedy Tuesdays will be musically themed.
Yeah, he's selling himself short. He's kind of like an encyclopedia for musical knowledge. And you kind of make me embarrassed every time I tell you something.
You know.
I'll always be like, hey, do you know this? And you're like, yeah, and here's an essay about the rest of the story you didn't know.
As if. But I'll give you an essay. I'll give you an essay right now.
All right, let's hear it.
We're going to learn about Craig Smith.
Oh, snap.
Who's that? AKA Maitreya Kali.
Oh, still don't know.
Uh-huh. And how he went from A to B.
All right.
So who's that?
Who is that?
Who's that? Craig Vincent Smith.
Okay.
Born April 25th, 1945.
Okay.
In Los Angeles, Studio City, California.
Mm-hmm. The City of Angels.
Exactly.
And musicians.
And let's see. Typical sort of American boy. He was class president in high school.
Okay.
Gymnastics team.
All right. Kind of an achiever.
A bit of an achiever, yeah.
Yeah.
Not an overachiever.
No valedictorians.
No. But
so
he achieved.
He got to a level.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
He was in there.
Yeah.
So at some point, I didn't really get any hard information on this, but I'm assuming in his teenage years, he started to play the guitar and become interested in music.
Right.
Primarily via folk music.
Okay.
Which was
nobody's perfect.
Quite popular at the time with the kids. I think it was sort of even more so than rock and roll.
Okay.
Sort of maybe the first example of, if you want to be a musician, you don't have to learn to read music. You don't have to go to school.
Okay.
Here's a guitar, learn some chords, write some words on, and there you go.
Right.
You're Joan Baez, you're Joni Mitchell. So that was his inspiration at the time. So we're talking 1963, June, he graduates high school and turns down a number of offers from colleges in order to pursue a career in the entertainment industry.
So he's all in.
He's all in.
Wow. And it's not like he didn't have options. Like he knew that this is what he wanted to do.
Exactly.
It wasn't like, I guess I'll try music.
Exactly. I think he's pretty passionate.
Wow.
At the time, this would not be so much of a disappointment to his parents.
Right. Which was my first thought, having a new son.
Right.
Hey, Dad, I want to be a musician.
You poor sucker. I think it was more of the idea of this starving artist and just sort of doing it for the music.
Yeah.
That came a little later.
Okay.
At the time, I think it was more of an ambitious, like, let's make some hits.
Right.
Let's be successful. So it was, I think, like a pretty valid career choice.
Right.
I'm an accountant. I work in construction, and I'm an entertainer. So
not to say that it's not valid now. But I guess
it's still valid, and that still obviously is a driving force for lots of music. But,
But I know what you're saying. It's like you can categorize it with a lot of like doctor, lawyer, entertainer.
Right. If you have the goods, go for it.
Yeah.
So that's what he did. So August 63, shortly after, Craig Smith is recruited by two gentlemen, Michael Storm and Tom Drake.
I never heard of them.
Yeah, them. Yeah. To join the Good Time Singers.
Okay.
And they were a band formed to replace the new Christy Minstrels.
God.
What is this
Everything is so cyclical.
Oh, I know.
That makes me think of like back to like first grade when I kept hearing about like New Kids on the Block.
Yeah.
Then like Backstreet Boys come along to dethrone them, and then NSYNC comes along to take. It's all the same.
Just the haircuts change, and then they don't. They become the same again.
And the beats, man.
And the beats. The beats got sicker. So replaced new Christy Minstrels on the Andy Williams show.
Okay.
Andy Williams was kind of a Perry Como, Dick Clark kind of character, like a real wholesome dad type.
Right.
His show was sort of very much of the time, like a sketch comedy / musical showcase, like a variety show, basically. Gotcha. And they were the band, Good Time Singers, who backed him up. So I saw one clip on YouTube, like they're all driving around in a jalopy and like, let's go camping, and they pile out and they sort of sing a song about it. Actually, Craig Smith has a few lines.
Okay.
In the show. So he's in there, and so picture like, so he's got the goods, he's got the chops, he can sing, and he looks like Matt Damon, basically.
Okay.
So he's the package.
Yeah, right.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So Good Time Singers.
What could possibly go wrong?
It's going good so far.
Yeah.
Nothing but promise.
Yep.
So Good Time Singers.
Yep.
They release 2 albums.
Okay.
One in January '64, another one later that year, October.
Okay.
They tour between the 2 albums in the States, maybe Canada too.
Okay.
At this point, Craig Smith is also really in earnest starting to write songs.
Right.
By that I mean to solicit to other artists.
Okay.
So he wrote a song called Christmas Holiday, which Andy Williams himself recorded.
Oh, nice.
So right away he's sort of established himself as the talent, like the singer, the guitar player, but he can also write songs.
Interesting, because a lot of times that goes the other way.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you get like songwriters for other people that then go on to be the artists themselves. Like I'm thinking of particularly Our Lady, Lady Gaga.
Our Lady of Gaga.
Our Lady of Gaga. That would have been funnier if I'd said that in the first place.
I'll help you.
I think she wrote for Britney Spears at least, maybe some other people.
Right.
But then she kind of took off on her own career.
Yeah,
so it's interesting that he kind of like
Timbaland did the same thing, and a lot of so he was sort of flipped it around.
Yeah,
and at such a young age, I would think he would be noticed.
Yeah, right.
Like check out this kid, like a bit of a prodigy.
Yeah.
So Good Time Singers, shortly after their second album, they disband. So after that, Craig Smith unsuccessfully auditions for the Monkees.
Oh, okay.
You may be familiar with.
I do love the Monkees.
We all
they're the Monkees.
So he doesn't get that, but he successfully auditions for an ABC TV show called The Happeners.
The Happeners?
Remember that?
I think I missed that one.
Yeah, everyone did because they didn't pick it up.
Oh, so it wasn't happening?
Wasn't happening for The Happeners. But apparently it was supposed to be a show about these folk music musicians in New York City.
Right.
And their sort of everyday foibles and...
Trying to cash in on the Monkees phenomenon?
Yeah, kind of. Or maybe more the Bob Dylan phenomenon or something.
Right.
They were folkies.
Yeah.
I'm picturing some musical numbers thrown into the mix as well.
Yeah.
So ABC decides not to pick up the pilot. But the silver lining from that Happeners experience was... one of his co-stars, a guy by the name of Chris Ducey, is also musically inclined.
Right.
So they decide to team up as Chris and Craig.
Okay.
So they get an apartment together and they begin writing songs.
Wait, is this where CNC Music Factory comes from? No?
I don't know. Let's find out.
All right.
What was their hit?
Is that Good Vibrations?
No, that's Marky Mark.
Oh, no, you're right. Right.
They were something.
Got the Power?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Clearly,
not them though. Not them.
Not so much.
Okay. See, this is what I'm saying. CNC. I don't know anything about music. Different CNC. Okay.
Different CNC. So shortly after they begin performing together, they're signed to Capitol Records. Not too shabby.
Not bad at all.
So they start to record a number of demos throughout the summer of 1966.
Okay.
Now, it's around this time that they get noticed by one Mike Nesmith.
Okay. Who's that?
He's part of the group we talked about, the Monkees.
Hey.
And
they're the Monkees.
Hey, the Monkees. And he's actually pretty successful in his own right. So do a little 10-second sidebar on Mike Nesmith.
Let's do it.
His mother invented liquid paper.
All right.
Which went on to become a multi-million-dollar company.
Right.
Like he was heir to the liquid paper fortune, which he inherited in 1980 to the sum of $43 million.
All right.
So that's all right.
Yeah.
He also was a successful songwriter himself after leaving the Monkees.
Right.
And in 1980 or so, he produced a television show called Pop Clips.
Okay.
for Nickelodeon.
Right.
Which was he then sold to Time Warner.
Okay.
Which they then developed into MTV.
Huh.
So
what you're saying is, without Whiteout, we never would have had MTV.
Exactly. You can draw a line
and then
from Whiteout to MTV.
and then you can white it out.
They can white it out. Or draw a line and white out.
So he sounds like a pretty successful monkey.
So he's not doing too bad. But at this point, he's still in the Monkees.
Right.
And the Monkees are a going concern.
Right.
They're doing well.
Yep.
So he's kind of got some sway,
yep.
some pull. So he sees these guys, Chris and Craig, and he's knocked out. He thinks they're the next big thing.
Right.
So he kind of takes them under his wing as a sort of bona fide manager, mentor. Mm-hmm. They're rehearsing at his house, yep. and he's, helping them out. So Chris and Craig, they start as a two-man acoustic act. Eventually, they sort of get fleshed out into an electric guitar playing
yep.
band.
Yep.
Once they secure a permanent lineup, they change the name to Penny Arcade.
Okay.
ARKADE.
You got to have something.
So we're about
to... Is there an umlaut on the A? Too?
Yeah. Okay. You got to set yourself apart. So this is like early 67.
Okay.
So Los Angeles music scene, like their contemporaries would have been The Doors,
right.
The Byrds, Buffalo Springfield,
yep.
Love. Now, most people have heard of the bands I just listed.
Indeed.
Not so much Penny Arcade.
Not even a little.
Not even a little. Reason being, those aforementioned bands would spend a lot of their time playing shows.
Right.
Going on tour.
Yep.
Penny Arcade, however, were spending their time recording an album being produced by Mr. Naismith
right.
of the Monkees.
Okay.
And hacking away at this album. Mm-hmm. It never was released. Yes, it was in 2004.
Oh, so like a 40-year turnaround time.
Someone dug it out of a stinky basement, and it's good, but it was finished.
I guess the key to being a successful band is to get heard. Is that step one?
That's a big part of it.
Have music.
Okay. Be heard.
Right.
And
so they were not doing that.
Apparently not.
Okay.
And I suppose they were being heard in a sense of Mike Naismith walking into offices and sort of optioning them to whoever he could, but no one was biting.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
Oh, okay. So it's not like the album took forever. They finished it, but then there were no takers.
I don't think it was a question of that. Like, I don't think it was like they were making this stupid masterpiece.
Yeah, right. Just nobody was interested.
As far as their contemporaries, they were good.
Yeah.
Average.
Right.
Nothing exceptional.
No Simon and Garfunkel.
You got that right.
Are they contemporary? When was Simon and Garfunkel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Around that time. Sure. They're like New York City.
Yeah, right.
Like folky. But yeah, for sure.
Cool.
For sure. You're in there. You got it. So
I know some things.
You know things.
There's a second example, I think.
I'm impressed that you said those two words. And, good for you. So all this time, Craig Smith is still writing songs and still soliciting songs and not doing too bad of a job. So there's one song of his called Salesman that the Monkees recorded and released. And, not too bad of a hit with that. And then other artists of the time that no one really remembers, Heather McRae being one.
Oh, yeah, Heather McRae. Yeah. You don't know Heather McRae?
Big fan?
No.
Okay.
I've never heard
that
in my life.
She had like one single I checked on Discogs.
Okay.
Didn't do much. But fair enough. Probably a one-hit wonder. But he wrote the song.
Sure.
Great. So he's not doing too bad. Oh, and so back to Penny Arcade. Yeah. They were pushing this song Country Girl. They thought it was going to be their big hit.
Right.
No one thought so until Glenn Campbell, Mr. Rhinestone Cowboy, Mr. Wichita Lineman, recorded and released a version of Country Girl.
Yeah.
So this wouldn't happen until 1971.
Oh.
But it happened.
Still.
So
that's good to know.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
So
also kind of a bummer though.
Yeah.
Like this is a great, we're going to kill it with this one.
Right.
And they don't, but someone else does.
Someone else does.
Oh.
Thanks.
Great. I mean, it's kind of like.
It's like kissing your sister.
Yeah. I guess.
It's not a great.
Like you're kissing someone, but it's not.
Exactly.
Rather not. Okay.
That's, yeah.
It's like
people still say
the most strained clap. Whenever they heard the song played live, they're like, I wrote that.
Yeah, I'm the real hero. The guy behind the guy. But that's basically what he is. He's a guy who's successful. He can walk down the street and no one's going to turn their head, except maybe like, hey, wasn't he in the Good Times?
Yeah, right.
But within the industry, he's not doing too shabby at all.
Sounds like there's no way to screw this up.
It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
It's going pretty good. So he eventually leaves Penny Arcade, and we're in 1968 now. Goes into business with his dad, running a bar.
Okay.
Not much comes of that.
Sure.
Late 1968 sees him associating with the Manson family. Are you familiar?
Yeah, that sounds like things might be taking a turn.
Things are taking a turn.
Okay.
Although...
for those unfamiliar with the Manson family, we're not talking about Marilyn Manson.
We're not talking about Marilyn Manson. We're talking about Charles Manson. Yeah. And
hey, what did he do?
Well, he convinced some very suggestible hippie type people to
join his
murder a bunch of people.
Oh, murder people
in a very brutal, horrific way.
Oh.
And he went to jail for that.
Great. So
kind
of guy you want to have a barbecue with.
Yeah, kind of guy you want to be hanging out with. And
Cool.
But
let's see how this goes.
At the time, though, musicians were hanging out with this guy because prior to these horrific things that he carried out, he was trying himself to break into the music industry.
Right.
So infamously, Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys was good buddies. He's palling around with the Manson family, and Beach Boys actually recorded one of his songs.
Yeah.
So that's kind of funny. Neil Young also has some tales of, Charlie Manson was around. And, just thought he was a weird guy, but not the weirdest guy, probably.
Imagine those studio sessions. Charlie, you are killing it. You have no idea.
Just you wait. Just you wait, man. So we talk. So he's hanging out with Charlie. Okay. He's also developing an interest in Eastern philosophy and transcendental meditation.
All right.
Which was very in vogue at the time, thanks to the Beatles and the Beach Boys.
Yes.
All the answers were in the East.
Indeed.
At this point, he decides to go traveling.
Okay.
Now,
to Florida?
No.
All right.
A little further.
Okay.
So we're looking
South
towards
Florida?
I'm thinking east.
Okay.
Thinking across the ocean.
Okay.
I'm thinking India.
All right.
Now,
I was kind of hoping you wouldn't say India.
Well, it's gonna be
nothing wrong against India, but I know what happened to the Beatles in India.
Yeah. Pretty dumb.
Yeah.
So drugs.
Okay.
Were popular.
Right.
At the time.
Yep.
Did Craig Smith do drugs? Well, apparently he...
Perhaps in moderation.
Perhaps at first in moderation.
Okay.
He liked to smoke small amounts of marijuana with his buddies.
Okay.
By 1968, he was experimenting with LSD.
Okay.
During his travels,
yeah,
he took LSD on a regular basis and smoked copious amounts of hashish.
Oh, good.
So in a bit of a fog.
Which is what you want to do in a foreign country.
Which is what you want to do in a foreign country, especially when you decide to travel to India alone with just a guitar and a backpack.
Right.
What a romantic notion.
Just asking for directions hopped out of your mind. Like, can you get me back to Earth, man?
Yeah. So I can have a conversation with it? The Earth. So he set off to find the so-called Hippie Trail.
Okay. Which is
sidebar.
Awesome. Okay. It's a thing, I guess.
The Hippie Trail is a thing.
Okay.
So it's a name given to a journey taken by members of the beat and hippie subculture.
Okay.
From the mid 50s to the late 70s.
All right.
And it was between Europe and South Asia, mainly through Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and Nepal. Okay. So it was a journey of enlightenment. Many believed it to be.
A lot of beards and circular sunglasses on this trail.
Beards and just wishy-washy white people.
Gotcha.
Who, think all the answers are in the mystical, mysterious.
Okay.
East.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So there was a network of hotels, restaurants, and cafes geared specifically towards these people, these seekers who are traveling on the cheap.
Yep.
And the hippie trail largely ended in the late 70s.
Right.
After the Iranian Revolution.
Yeah.
And the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan closed the route to Western travelers.
Yeah, I guess it would do that. It's funny you were saying those names, and I'm like, this can't still be a route.
I think it was quite a different environment back then.
Yeah, probably.
I'm guessing.
Probably.
It's not what we know it to be now.
No, you look at pictures of like, you didn't say Lebanon, but when you look at pictures of like Iran from the 50s, different place.
Yeah.
Different place than
not a war-torn,
no,
sadness place.
Yeah, especially Afghanistan.
Right.
Yeah.
Not the best.
Nope.
But maybe there's parts of it still great.
For sure.
And we just get what we get from the news. And
just no hippie trail going through it
No
anymore.
hippie trail.
Yep.
Which is a bad idea from the start. So maybe it's a good thing. Kind of harsh their buzz.
Oh, God.
So he arrives in Turkey in October 68
Yep.
via Austria or Greece.
Okay.
He befriended some fellow Western travelers in Istanbul, and off they went in a VW van.
Perfect.
Couldn't be better.
Flowers on it?
You better believe it.
Okay.
If not, I'm pissed off. So their destination is Delhi.
Okay.
So there's a few mishaps, nothing major, some car trouble.
Sure.
They end up in Afghanistan.
Okay.
At this point, Craig Smith decides to leave his companions and stay alone in Kandahar for a few days while they go on to Kabul.
Right.
And they all plan to meet in Kabul at some point.
Right.
Soon.
And that just... It's coming back to like different time because you're saying all these names that now
it's like I'm talking about San Francisco.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now these city names come up in a very different context. You're not going to vacation in Kabul.
No. You'd be dead in a second.
Exactly.
Or so just having a miserable time.
It's amazing how much the world can change.
Yeah.
In not really that much time.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what was happening then.
Yeah.
Weird. So he never did join them in Kabul.
How come?
Well, when his companions returned to Kandahar a few months later, they heard rumors that Smith had gone crazy, quote, running through the market with a knife, threatening people before disappearing. It eventually became apparent that after threatening the market vendor, Smith had been beaten close to death and robbed and possibly kidnapped and raped.
Oof.
So not a good situation anywhere.
Things are taking a turn.
As far as a location.
Yeah.
Very poor.
Right.
Like provocatively poor.
No, yeah. Things are not going well for Smith at this point.
No, there's no calling mom to pick you up.
Oh, God.
You're really off the grid.
Okay. Well, this couldn't possibly get worse.
Well, it's been good up to this point.
Oh, God.
It's possible that he spent some time in an Afghan insane asylum where he is thought to have developed acute schizophrenia.
Okay.
So as far as I know, if you suffer from schizophrenia, psychotropic drugs are not a good idea.
Not a good idea. No, my wife actually teaches on this stuff. She has a PhD in psychology, and if you have a condition or you're predisposed to a condition where you already have a tenuous grasp on reality, maybe don't take a drug whose purpose is to give you a tenuous grasp on reality.
Don't double down.
No, don't do it.
And maybe even those symptoms might have come out way later in your life, or never.
Yeah.
Like it can act as a trigger, as far as I know.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Right. So that could be what was at play here.
Yeah.
Who knows? But so he returned to the USA in late 68 or early 69.
Right.
Which is surprising, but he got out somehow.
Yeah.
Initially living back with his parents and possibly institutionalized and medicated for a short period.
Okay.
So by this time, he was using the name Maitreya Kali.
All right.
Which is a long jog from Craig Smith.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
And he intended for this to be his legal name, though he wouldn't actually change it until 1971.
Okay.
So he did legally change his name.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
However, still money coming in from his successful songwriting efforts. So,
so he's making money this whole time.
He's doing all right.
Okay.
He's coasting, but he's doing okay.
Right.
So at this point, he decides to travel through South America for a bit.
More traveling. Great. Didn't learn his lesson. Let's see how this goes.
Well, the traveling, not so much, but there's trouble brewing at home.
Okay, fair enough.
So during this period, his girlfriend left him.
Okay.
And then they reunited after returning from South America.
All right.
Then they became engaged.
Hey.
Then the engagement ended.
Oh.
At which point, he ripped up his fiance's wedding dress.
Okay.
As you do.
Sure.
They reconnected once more.
Sewed it back up.
Yeah. Sewed it back up.
Sorry.
Yeah. Briefly, then ended their relationship for good when Smith violently threatened one of her male friends.
Oh, okay. So that'll do
He's coming a little apart at the seams.
Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah.
Seems like we're getting a little far away from the guitar playing teenager with the voice of gold.
Yeah. The Good Time Singers is becoming a little dot in the rearview mirror.
Right.
So 1970-ish, he claimed to have mystical powers. All right. He thought he was a messiah.
Sure.
He prophesied that he would be king of the world by 2000.
Did he do it?
Not so much.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
He claimed to be the reincarnation of Jesus, Buddha, and Hitler.
Interesting combination.
Yeah.
I kind of want to hear that joke.
Walk into a bar.
Yeah, right.
So I walked into a bar. And so did Jesus, Buddha.
Yep.
He claimed voices were telling him to kill people. At this point, people are starting to notice.
Now they notice. Wasn't during the trip to India. Wasn't during.
Man, they were all in their
tearing
own,
up his. Okay.
Hippie trails.
That's fair.
So, right. So they kind of took a break from whatever and were like, hey, Craig's acting a little strange.
Craig said he's going to be the king of the world.
Yeah.
So
one of them actually obtained a restraining order against him.
Okay.
One of his friends.
Right.
His appearance at this point would shift from unkempt with long hair and a wild beard.
Okay. Yeah.
To shaven head and wearing robes, not unlike a Buddhist monk.
That's not a good. Because I feel like when you're unkempt, it's easy to be unkempt, right? You just don't cut your hair, don't shave, don't take a bath.
Yeah.
When you go for shaved head, no body hair, no hair on your head, robes, now you're trying to look like this.
Exactly.
And that's
now you're onto something.
So it's that's when the flag goes up.
That's when the flag is waving.
Yeah.
All is not well.
Yeah.
So at this point, he visited Heather McRae, who I mentioned earlier, a one-hit wonder. He wrote a song for her. Mm-hmm. So he visited her at her place, and he was asked to leave by Heather's sister's husband after he woke up to find Craig Smith standing over their bed with a knife.
Nope. That is the exact reason I'm never going to see Paranormal Activity. I saw that trailer. It was 10 years ago now, and it's when I first moved into my apartment with my girlfriend, now wife.
Right.
And I saw that trailer, and for the next week, I waited to make sure that she would fall asleep before me, just so that I wouldn't accidentally wake up to her standing at the base of the bed staring at me.
If for some reason it is a terrifying notion.
Just that. Right, because you're asleep and they're not doing anything; they're just watching you.
Right. It's creepy.
And since then, I've gotten into horror movies. I love Hereditary is one of my favorite, certainly my favorite horror movie, possibly one of my favorite movies.
Right.
So it's not the horror movie as a concept, intense. But Paranormal Activity, never going to watch it because of that one scene.
Right. So bring a knife into that equation.
Nope. Don't want to. Can't make me get out of my house. Is what
he was asked to leave.
Gotcha. Perfect. That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, it's a normal reaction.
Not politely.
The bums rush. Really.
Mm-hmm.
So between 1971 and 72, he wrote, recorded, and self-released 2 albums as Satya Sai Maitreya Kali.
All right.
And those albums were Apache and Inca, respectively.
All right.
And both albums contain songs from the Penny Arcade recording sessions from a few years prior.
Okay.
Along with his own contemporary compositions of the time, which were mainly him, an acoustic guitar, and not much else. So it's a combination of upbeat psychedelic rock, and then his acoustic stuff.
Right.
How do you think these albums sounded? as far as like performance and yeah.
Well, given everything you said, if I had to shoot from the hip, I'd say first word comes to mind is jittery. Unhinged also seems to be coming up a lot, so I would say unhinged. Probably not particularly well done.
Okay.
I'd imagine the equivalent of the scribblings of a madman.
And I'll tell you, to look at the album art, you would be right on the money.
Okay.
You couldn't be more wrong.
Really?
They're awesome.
Okay.
He can sing, he can play, and like what you're describing has happened on a much more well-known level. Like Syd Barrett from Pink Floyd had a very similar sort of, he was doing good and then psychedelic and drugs and freak out and whatever, probably had schizophrenia, but he released 2 solo albums too. Okay. And they're pretty much exactly what you just described. Like, there's moments that are good, but it's like, this guy is not the same guy. These Maitreya Kali albums are great. Like the singing is beautiful. The songs are really pretty, and they've got to be recorded in the studio. Because, like I said, he had the funds to make it happen. There's even a song on with Mike Love of the Beach Boys on it. Wow. Now, it's a recording of them in the control room listening to a demo of one of his songs, and they're sort of talking about it. Right. So it's kind of weird. Right. But it just shows like he's hanging out with the Beach Boys. Right, yeah. So still got it. But yeah, like I said, the look of these things is insane. It's clearly the art is homemade, like these are self-released, and you really can't make out much when you're looking on Discogs on the pictures, but apparently the liner notes contain elements of his belief system at the time, which was pretty cracked.
So I wonder if that's kind of interesting to me from a the way the human mind works perspective, because it sounds like it's like you can have you have like this aspect that's almost like I guess like muscle memory, where you can have maybe the part of your mind that governs personality coming completely unhinged, as it seems to be in this case. King of the world by 2000.
Jesus, Buddha, Hitler.
But then like you put a guitar in his hand and he starts singing, and it's like using a completely different part of his mind, and it just like locks in. It's just like, wow, is this the same person?
Right. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. It's not even a mental, like a tangible mental thing. Otherwise, it's more like muscle memory, like just. I sort of equated it with athletes, like particular boxers, where they say like the last thing you lose is your punch. Oh, okay, yeah. So it's just this gift that you've got.
Yeah, it's in there.
That's in there.
You can just tap into it.
Right.
Huh. So, that's cool.
Yeah. So
I'm excited to hear those.
Yeah. I mean, they're impossible to find. Like he didn't release it in a real sense. Like when I say release, they were mainly distributed to his friends. And sold on the street. But they are both on YouTube in full, so you can check them out. They're great.
I will do that.
Yeah.
And we'll link them.
So into 73, his mental health problems persist. So some things of note in 1973. He sold his car with the intention of going to Ethiopia. Oh, right. I'm not sure if he made it. Okay. He challenged a friend to a duel to the death with samurai swords.
Do you have any training in the way of the samurai?
There's been no mention of samurai up to this point, so I'm going to say no.
All right, fair
but
enough.
He challenged him, and I'm guessing that didn't happen.
Okay.
He had a small black spider tattooed in the middle of his fucking forehead.
Well, I mean,
not unlike Charles Manson's swastika.
I mean, if nothing else, it shows his ability to commit.
Yeah,
as anyone with a facial tattoo can demonstrate.
Yeah, not faking it.
No.
And like apparently this was sort of an apocryphal or thought to be thing, like a bit of an urban legend about, because he had been becoming more and more infamous. Like, and he's got a spider tattoo, but there is a picture. And it's a mugshot, but he's got it right. Boom, there it is in his forehead. And there's actually a track on one of his albums where it's like the last track on the album. It's just him describing to someone how he's going to get this tattoo and what it is and what it means.
A lot of strained conversations after that tattoo. It's like, dude, why won't you look me in the eyes when you talk to me? Man, I can't. I can't do it. I've
got to go. Yeah. So, April 73, he attacked his mother at the family home. Okay. He was sentenced in November of that year to 6 months to life for a charge of assault.
Okay.
Wide range.
Yeah. This is really bad or not that bad.
Yeah. This is possibly a slap on the wrist or go away forever because you're a danger to society. Yeah. It was suggested by the judge to seek intense medical and psychiatric treatment. So he goes to jail in June 76. He was granted parole at the fourth attempt, and he was released.
Okay.
So 3 years in the slammer. Not good.
No.
And I'm thinking that was the thing that really derailed his life.
It can't help. We don't need to get into a big philosophical policy discussion of it, but like there's a lot of people that have like mental issues, and putting them in jail doesn't make things better.
The idea of rehabilitation.
It just doesn't make it better.
No. So he is swallowed up by the system and then spat out.
Yeah.
And as a result, he spent his remaining years either in mental hospitals or homeless.
No.
So not good.
No.
I'm assuming in the LA area, but no one really knows.
Right.
He claimed to be writing and recording music the whole time.
Right.
There's some evidence of that as late as 1994 with a song called Waves, which came out last year on a compilation of his music. And again, it's not but I figured by this time it would be a rambling mess. We're talking 30 years later, it's still fun. It's not still amazing, but it's good.
Still got it.
He's playing, he's singing, his voice. He sounds a little older, but yeah.
That makes me think of, have you seen those videos of Alzheimer's patients where they're essentially catatonic, they're unresponsive, nothing, there's no interaction with the outside world, but then, somebody will come and start singing a song to them.
I've seen those. Yeah.
And they just light up and they start singing along and tapping along. So it's again, you have that track of your mind that's intact that you can use and you have access to, but everything else can be kind of burning around you.
Mm-hmm. Music it's
very interesting.
Powerful and magical.
Yeah.
So where are we here? Various run-ins in the law, various run-ins with the law. By the early 2000s, his ramblings, quote, had moved from Eastern philosophy to aliens.
All right.
Craig Smith died on March 16th, 2012. His family declined to collect his ashes. They were eventually collected by Mike Stacks.
Okay.
Now, Mike Stacks is a journalist and a musician.
Yeah.
He spent 15 years from 2001 to 2016 writing a biography on Craig Smith.
Oh, cool.
He was never able to successfully track him down, but I think the book sort of documents that journey of trying to meet the man.
Right.
But along the way, he learned all this stuff. That's, I think, where I got most of the information comes from this book.
Yeah.
So it's called Swim Through the Darkness, My Search for Craig Smith and the Mystery of Maitreya Kali.
Check it out if you want to know more.
And that's all I got to say about Craig Smith.
That sounds like a tragic Tuesday.
Indeed.
A great start to these mini episodes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, a guy with a lot going for him, a lot of promise, and just went down a bad road. And probably, mental health issues.
Oh, for sure.
Were a big factor in that.
Yeah. But that's a big arc.
Yeah, big time. It's the sort of the side of that 60s hippie psychedelic experience you don't hear too much about.
Yeah.
But for every, beautiful experience, there's a tragedy of, equal impact.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, that was our first Tragedy Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh, and the song.
Oh, yeah,
is just one of the songs from his solo album. His second, it was his first solo album, Apache, and the song is Silk and Ivory. And it's lovely.
All right.
Check it out.
Probably hearing some right now. All right. Well, like I said, that was a tragic Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to us on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen. If you do use iTunes, it'd be super helpful if you went on there and gave us a review. While you're at it, might as well make it 5 stars.
Give 5 stars.
You could do 4, but 5's like a nice.
If you're gonna do 4, you might as well do 5.
Go for an even number, 5.
If you're gonna do 1, don't do it at all. But anywhere from 3 to 5, just do 5.
Yeah, just do 5. Just do 5. Because that'll help us get some exposure, get more people listening, and that would be great. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at This Disaster Pod, and we're on Facebook too. And we'll be back next week for another major disaster.
There's a Facebook too?
Facebook is...
See you guys.
Facebook as well.
End of the joke.